And we are here, I'll spare you the saving the best for last cliches, but Aireen Omar has been one of the key people overseeing and facilitating a digital transformation at AirAsia, what one would associate as, quote unquote, a legacy airline. But she was one of the key people in transforming it into AirAsia Digital. I think it's called what, Red Jacket in an earlier incarnation. And Aireen is from LSE, London School of Economics, NYU, so she straddles the MIT Imperial land bridge, ocean bridge very, very well. And we're going to hear, we've heard the economic view, we've heard a demographic perspective. Now we're going to hear a business perspective from the angle of attack of digital transformation. Aireen Omar, please.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everybody. Just to let you know, AirAsia is actually a low-cost airline, not really a legacy airline. So we started back in 2001 as a low-cost carrier, probably the first of its kind in Southeast Asia. So I'm here to actually explain the digital transformation journey that which started really about 3 years ago. So maybe I could tell you a little bit of our history. We started 20 years ago, and we started as an airline with just 2 aircraft. We bought over from DRB Highcom, who was running a legacy carrier. And the 2 co-founders, Tony Fernandez and Kamaruddin, decided that there is a market for low-cost carrier in Southeast Asia. And we thought that it's a good idea, really, because Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing economy in the region, with one of the fastest growing middle income, and with a 600 million population base. And the fact that it's geographically, the landscape is surrounded by water. So it's perfect for low-cost carrier to grow with a high middle income growth and so forth. So we decided to start this journey, and we introduced low-cost carrier, which nobody thought they never had heard before, because usually airlines are generally just focused on providing services for the elite at that point in time and so forth. Plus the fact that we started selling our tickets through websites, which nobody have tried that before, because majority of the airlines were just selling to travel agents and so forth. So we began that journey. We sold tickets through the website. Currently, 80% of our bookings goes through the website. And these are the numbers that you see pre-COVID situation. We flew 600 million guests. We have over 560 million people in our database. We had 160 destinations and over 280 aircraft between A320 and A330 aircraft. Last year itself, we carried over 100 million guests, and we have hubs all around the region, mainly in Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, and also Japan and Indonesia. So we were big. We actually had a huge network, and we were by far the largest airline in Asia, right after the Chinese airlines, really. And we were turning around aircraft and utilizing them in a very optimum way, about 14 hours a day and so forth. So that was what it was pre-COVID situation. And because we were growing so fast and we had all this database, we thought that the data has become a real asset for us. And we discovered this many years ago, but we didn't know how we can actually make use of it and how we can actually create better businesses out of it. Until about 3 years ago, we decided we need to go on a real digital transformation. So what we did first was, how do we make use of data? Because we have so much data coming from a booking system. We have data coming from aircraft engine and the movements of our passengers, and also how we use the aircraft and so forth. The first thing that we needed to do was to ingest all those data into one system and to put it into a foundry. And that's where we decided that we needed to use cloud. And we were migrating all our systems into cloud-based. And we were working with Google, who is our long-term business partner. And as it is right now, all our systems that's operatable are now in cloud, except for some system. We thought that it doesn't make any sense to migrate into cloud because we thought that the system is pretty old and we just want to let them terminate or sunset. And here we are today. So what happened was that we felt that with all the data, what can we be? We felt that the data that we have we can firstly improve the revenue that we have. We can look at how can we look at new business areas? How can we increase the conversion rate, have more personalization and more targeted sales and marketing and so forth. And we felt that the data can be used, can create a whole customer intelligence profile for us. Another way of using data is how do we use that to improve the cost efficiency and productivity of our operations? How can we use that data to optimize the schedule, to optimize the roster, the routing, or to even improve fuel consumption by another 2% or 1 percentage point? Because at that point in time, if we were able to improve another 1 percentage point of fuel consumption, we're really saving about $100 million per year and so forth. The third aspect of how we use data is how do we use them to provide a seamless journey for our passengers or our guests or consumers, or even how to provide a seamless work process for our own workforce. And so that's how we decided to look at how we find data and how we need to use it. And that began the whole restructuring of the talent workforce that we have. We had to restructure our tech team because initially they were just focused on IT operations and just facilitating business as usual. We needed to build a strong tech team that includes software engineering, product, UI and UX, cyber experts, as well as data scientists, and build a stronger digital marketing team. And as a result, we decided to restructure the whole group. We decided that AirAsia can be more than just an airline. It can actually build other businesses from the data that we have. And last year, we decided to restructure the whole group and focus on 2 separate units. One is on airline, where all the licenses in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, India, and Japan are all in one group. And we decided to spin off our engineering department and make that into a separate engineering entity that will cover not just licensing of licensed engineers and MRO and all the other areas that we could service as an engineering department, and be able to provide that services to other airlines that fly into our airport. And we also decided to create a ground handling company that includes the guest services team as well as the baggage handlers and so forth. And we decided to have a joint partnership with SATS of Singapore to provide that services not only just in the airport that we serve, but also in other airports that SATS serve, so we could earn more income from it. So what you're seeing here is how do we work that assets even more to be able to earn income so that the cost center can become a profit center. The most interesting thing is how we actually pivot ourselves into a more of a technology and digital company. So from the data that we have and from the data that we can visualize, we saw many business opportunities that we could build. For instance, AirAsia.com, it used to be just a platform for the airline to be able to sell tickets. And that's where most of our consumers actually buy flights through AirAsia.com. And like I said before, 80% of that goes through AirAsia.com or AirAsia Mobile. And we felt that all that traffic that goes into AirAsia.com, where we have about 50 million unique visitors per month and so forth, we felt that we could do more than selling just our own flights because on average, a person would probably fly 4 times a year, but how can we increase that usage, the frequency of use of AirAsia.com? And we felt that perhaps we should actually pivot it into an online travel agent, an OTA. So we started selling hotels, we started selling bundles of hotels plus flights. we started selling itineraries and deals across various destinations that we fly into and so forth. We also aim to see how we can use this platform into a go-to everyday app that you can use on a daily basis and so forth. And that was meant to be on phase 3 of what we were trying to do with AirAsia.com. But with the COVID situation, whatever that we plan in 3 years, it's just shrinked. We sort of speed it up and decided to build it in the space of 2 weeks if we can, basically. And we also have this logistic company called Teleport. It came from our cargo department when we were just managing the belly space of the airline. And we thought that within the turnaround time of 25 minutes, how else can we earn more revenue? And that's where the idea of putting in cargo using the planes that we have, as opposed to having dedicated freight to facilitate the cargo movements. And when we decided to spin off that cargo department into an entity last year, we decided that the logistic company can be more than just transporting goods or cargo goods also. We decided that it can also build up the last mile business operations in the region. And we also decided to build an e-commerce platform that facilitates cross-border logistic business, since we have a huge network in the region with over 360 routes and so forth. And we felt that with the e-commerce boom that we have these days in Southeast Asia, the logistic company has got lots of potential apart from just transporting cargo goods. We feel we could deliver parcels, we could work with the last mile deliveries and build our own last mile business, as well as build our e-commerce business. It started with building our shop, which is the e-commerce platform. That business was meant to actually build duty-free businesses as well as travel retail. But during the pandemic situation, when nobody was travel, we decided to basically change everything and decided to sell everything that everybody needs at that point in time. And we also build our home delivery business as well. We also have financial services sector where BigPay is our fintech business. It aims to be a digital ASEAN bank. It's got all the necessary licenses in Malaysia. It's got e-money licenses, remittances license, and also lending license. It also launched its e-money and remittances license in Singapore as well, and it aims to have the same licenses that we have in Malaysia, in Thailand, and in Philippines by next year, and hopefully with Indonesia at some point very soon. Our loyalty business, Big Loyalty, has now turned into a loyalty points that you can use to purchase goods on a day-to-day basis. So it's not just being used to earn and burn on travel. You can earn loyalty points and you can use it for your day-to-day activities, including putting up gas for your car on a day-to-day basis, for grocery shopping, for dining, and many other deals that you could find in every city that we have in the region and so forth. We also spun off our flight and in-flight catering business. It was initially a department, but we were very good at creating menu, and a lot of our passengers told us that how can they buy food even though they're not flying? And that gave us an idea. So last year in December, we decided to open our own restaurant in Kuala Lumpur, and it became quite a hit. And during the pandemic, what happened was that we turned the kitchen, the central kitchen that serves food for our flights and also for the restaurant, we decided to use it as home delivery. So we were delivering food to various communities in Malaysia and so forth, for them to be able to enjoy the food that they like so much on air and so forth. We just received a franchise license from the government, so we are actually embarking on a franchise business with Santan. So it's something like what you see in McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and so forth. So you will see soon around the region that there will be many small-time businesses that will own franchising, will have franchising license to be able to open Santan around the region. And we're starting that with Malaysia very, very soon. Now, throughout the pandemic, small medium enterprises were struggling. And since we have a platform for them to be able to sell their goods, at that time it was called Our Shop, now it's called AirAsia Shop. We decided to allow those small medium enterprises to be on our platform. And so they have an avenue to sell, because otherwise they were using the traditional brick and mortar to be able to sell their goods, and they couldn't open their shop. So we went on the Save Our Shop campaign in Malaysia, and we opened up those platforms to small medium enterprises, and within a week about 1,000 merchants signed up, and we have all of them now over in our shop to be able to sell their goods and so forth. And in that period, the farmers were telling us that they will not be able to sell their goods because they need to sell in tonnage, whereas we were just selling groceries directly through consumers and so forth. And those are in little bundles, whereas the farmers needed to offload their produce in tonnage and all that. So what we did was we worked with the Ministry of Agriculture, and we decided to work with the farmers and match them with the merchants that we have on our platform. So they will sell directly on our platform with the merchants. So it's sort of like a matching kind of thing with farmers and merchants that we have. And we also encourage other merchants to sign on our platform. So it's sort of like take away the middleman, and at the same time allows farmers to offload their produce directly to restaurant owners or through supermarket owners, schools and hospitals and so forth, basically. So that's what we did with the Santan Group. It's our F&B business. And because we were embarking on all this digital transformation and so forth, we realized that there's a lot of tech talent that we need. And we felt that it was very difficult to find good tech talent in this part of the world. And we were looking for talent all around the world. And it so happens that anyone in the world who's looking at digital transformation or building a business digitally are looking for the same talent. So we felt that it would be too expensive to keep pinching talent all around the world, and will not be sustainable for us to achieve what we want to achieve, which is to be a travel and lifestyle tech company. And what we decided was to emulate an academy, like what we did with the Aviation Academy, where we built a talent pipeline of pilots. And we train pilots from cadets and so forth. So we felt that we could do the same for tech. And because we were in this digital transformation partnership with Google, we felt that we could partner with them and build an academy, which we just launched today, basically, to the public. We felt that we need to firstly upskill our own staff so that our existing tech team will be of world class and they are not having different standards and quality and so forth. And we felt that as we go deeper into embarking on more machine learning activities, there will be many of our staff that we need to redeploy. And we felt that as a responsible employer, we need to reskill them so that we will be able to give them the opportunity to embrace the digital economy and be able to change their careers into what we need most, like digital marketers or coders and hackers and so forth. So during the pandemic, when it just so happens that when we first launched the courses, and it just so happens that it was just 2 days after the lockdown, we had thousands of staff who just signed up for it. And today was a graduation day for about 200 of them. And they came from various backgrounds, from pilots, cabin crew, baggage handlers, and so forth. They completed their fundamentals courses. And next week, they'll be starting a learning path of their choice, where they will go deeper into a certain skills of what interests them. So we have 6 learning paths that they could choose, whether they want to be a data analyst or a data engineer that will hopefully will build them into becoming a data scientist at some point in the future. And we have a cyber security learning path, software engineering learning path, product UI UX, digital marketing, and also cloud architect. So this is in partnership with Google, where we were reskilling people in our own workforce. And we received demand from outside that they want to have the same kind of experience that we have, because they saw how we pivoted successfully from just an airline into more than that. And we're receiving a lot of demand coming from government agencies and from other corporations, as well as individuals who are looking to upskill and reskilling themselves. So it looks as though we're now reskilling a nation who is looking to embrace the digital digital industrialization in a big way. So during the pandemic, we didn't sit down and cry. We were hit the most. Really, we had to ground our aircraft for 3 months, and we were only flying cargo goods, and that's very limited flights, basically. And what I said before, what we were looking at is how do we turn all these challenges into opportunities? It was an opportunity for the digital businesses to grow faster. So a 3-year roadmap is now squeezed into 1 year, and we tried to kick off a lot of things that we wanted to do within 2 weeks during the lockdown period. It's not perfect. It's still a small business, but it's a good kickstart for us to keep improving and keep moving forward and build what we needed to build. So how do we adjust and adapt to the new normal? We repurpose our staff. Pilots and cabin crew have now worked in some of the businesses that we're building. They have become food delivery drivers with Santan, and they have become home, delivering parcels also for Teleport. And the thing is that we have good feedback coming from people who has received this delivery. They said that the delivery is very pleasant. I mean, you have our cabin crew who has been trained on how to treat and manage people. They've been very pleasant in terms of delivering the goods as well. We've been reskilling and upskilling our workforce, and also the small medium enterprises as well, because as they come into our platform, they realize that they need to upskill themselves and know how to work within the e-commerce environment. And we co-develop a small medium enterprise, a co-curriculum with Google on basic things like building a homepage or building more traffic into the homepage, digital marketing, and so forth. And we quickly found ways to create new product offerings through our businesses across within AirAsia.com and Teleport and Santan, and even our farm and what we sell on AirAsia Shop. And also product offerings in terms of the training that we can offer to the public, which will be opening to the public very soon by the end of the month. And we decided that we needed to work with the community, because low-cost carrier like us, it's really important to build that businesses and work with community, because we need our flights to be affordable for everyone. So small medium enterprises has always been in the heart of our businesses. So how do we make sure that they too survive when we pivot into our digital space? So that's what we've been doing, and that's how we've been pivoting, and hopefully we'll be very successful and continue to disrupt new ways. And all of this started because we saw the value of our data, and we saw that we have a rich data that many companies out there were trying to get hold of, like Grab and Gojek and Uber. But we felt that, why are they valued so high and we are not valued that much? But we were making profit, and we had lots of data that we could work with, and we felt that we need to take control of it and create better value and create more businesses. And this is how we have become more than just an airline.
Wow. Aireen, thank you so much on this. And you've really set the table very, very nicely for what I think will be a number of different themes in the panel discussion to follow. But I'd like to address a couple of particular questions to you. First and foremost, I want to quasi-apologize as describing you as a legacy airline. Of course, being from America, you look at Southwest and you look at in Europe, Ryanair, and there are legacy low-cost airlines, and I sort of put you in that category. But here's what you did, and I want to connect this to Jonathan, Professor Haskell's talk on intangible assets. Full disclosure, I work with a number of organizations on data governance and data as an asset, talk about data as an intangible asset. I have found it remarkably hard. I'm being very blunt with you. I have found it remarkably hard to get organizations to treat data as an asset. Really, it was and it's something that you said in passing that, the IT people need to be retrained because the IT people don't look at data as an asset. They look as data as the stuff that runs on IT systems. So help the people in this audience understand what enabled you to change the culture to get people to focus on data as an asset rather than the stuff we enter into spreadsheets and word processors and text editors and ERP systems. What was the key for you to make data a real asset?
Okay, so it's not very easy, this whole digital transformation exercise that I had to lead. And it's a lot of mindset change, to be honest. It took, well, maybe some people think that we took a short time to try to change the way we do things. But it took me about a couple of years to get everybody to understand how to use data, because people were pretty happy with what they have right now. And they tell me that, Aireen, why do we need to change the way we do our work? We are doing well. We are very profitable. So whatever that we did before should work. But I don't think they realize that, the way they look at things are probably in the next 1 or 2 years or so forth. But if they continue to do the way they do things, in the next 5 years, they will become irrelevant. And it's a matter of knowing what are your assets, right? Initially, the assets were your aircraft. And we will be looking at what is the market rate for a narrow body aircraft like A320 or a wide body aircraft or A330 and so forth. And how do we get financing, or whether we do sale and lease back, and how do we earn much from it? When do we trade that aircraft in order to optimize the value of that assets and so forth? But people fail to see that the lifestyle and the demands of the consumer are different now. It's not just about flying from one point to another point. There are so many airlines that's helping you to fly from one point to another point. How do we give them a very satisfying journey, a lifestyle experience that they're looking for? So it's about that. It's about understanding the needs and the wants of our consumers and our passengers and being able to provide that to them. It's also about...
Hold on a second. Why did you choose data, and I'll be presumptuous, metadata, as the key to differentiation? Because if you look at an organization, I'll stick in your business. You look at an organization like Delta, for example, the focus is less on data than customer service, customer experience, employee service, employee experience. What is it that gave you and Tony and the leadership either the courage or the insight to say, yes, customer experience is important. Yes, employee morale is important, but we're going to build our capabilities around data? Was it a gradual thing? Was it a sudden insight? Was it the result of a consulting agency? Was it Google convincing you? What was it?
No, I think we don't like consultants because we feel that they just repeat what we do and they say it in a different way. We feel that we could do it better because we build that business.
It's a global phenomenon, Aireen. Yes, go on. Sorry.
Yes. And I think it's because that our website, when we look at the website, we saw so much traffic going in. To the point whenever we have scheduled extension sales every few months or so, it just gets jammed up. And we felt like, how can we, we saw that traffic, we saw how people behave and when they were searching for flights and what they do and what they like to buy while they, when they fly somewhere or so. And I guess it all started with how can we increase that conversion rate that we close that transaction when people go into our site.
Brilliant.
And then sorry?
I said brilliant. Please keep going.
Yes. And from there, we felt like, okay, if we do this, if we have a little bit more targeted way of doing things, a little bit more personalization and so forth, we saw that the conversion rate improved. and how can we do this better? And then we felt that we can't do this better and faster if we can't visualize things better, because a lot of it were on premise. And we have so much data coming from many various systems. So how do we ingest everything together and put them into a foundry so we can visualize things better? And that's when we decided that we need to invest in cloud. And we were looking at AWS, we were looking at Google, GCP, we were looking at Azure. So we actually went to see all of them.
Not on the cloud? So.
No, not other cloud. We kind of like prefer this three because we felt that our data is safer in this cloud, basically.
Very good.
And then after meeting with the management, I think my boss Tony at that time felt that Google fits well with us, and at that time it was led by Diane Green, and we have the same kind of vision in terms of what we can do in terms of machine learning and AI and the whole possibilities with what we can do with data when we use cloud. And that journey happened almost 3 years ago. And we were so happy that we did that, because we wouldn't have been where we are today in trying to survive the pandemic situation if we didn't make that decision to migrate into cloud and start building our capabilities in tech and see what we can do with this data that we own. And it's very hard for any airlines in the world, you see, that they own so much data. We own that data, we own the customer. Unlike other airlines where 80% of their booking goes to travel agent, and the travel agent owns the customer base and not them. When you look at this structure, you see that all of these areas and departments and units and things that we own, where we want to work the assets even more, and we spun it off into companies because we felt that services that we have actually built and create an expertise or so, we can also provide that services and product to other industry players or even other verticals. And hence the reason why we decided to spin it off and create an entity out of it, or create an entity from scratch, because we felt the value creation would be far bigger than if it were just to be in a department in the airline.
So just to be clear, and I sort of want to reverse engineer this. You went to cloud, it did two things for you. One is it allowed you to ingest and create commonality between your data as an asset. And this in turn enabled all manner of capabilities for the spin-offs that you had to support this. But the point that I'd like to begin at, and forgive me for sounding didactic, but the key beginning point was literally observing customer behavior and coming up with a KPI, conversion rate, that allowed you to see how we're going to get value from data by making this kind of offer versus that kind of an offer. So that's how you created a new value chain. Is that a fair characterization?
That's one way of looking at it. The other way is because we are a high volume business, we turn around the aircraft very fast, 25 minutes. We use the aircraft 14 hours a day. So within that one day, there's 6 sets of passengers that we're carrying. Also at the very least, on average, 180 of passengers each set and so forth. There will always be problems in operations, and we always have problems that we need to solve, and it can be very difficult to work when we're actually quite a lean. We're very cost conscious, so we're a very lean operation. At the same time, we're high volume. How do we address all these problems, and how do we make sure that there's accuracy in the way we do? We don't want to compromise the 25 minutes turnaround. As you get more and more aircraft and the airports that you use are getting larger, it's difficult for the ground handlers to move from one end to the other and the engineers to move from one end to the other and so forth. So naturally that 25 minutes will be compromised. But every minute that's compromised, that's millions of dollars that we're actually losing also, because we are not flying that aircraft more often than it should. So this is where, when we ask each department in the company, give me all your problem statements from the engineering department, from the operations control department, pilots and cabin crew and so forth. And they will come up with that problem statement. And this is where we will sit down with them and see how can we help you solve your issues and make you more productive and give you more accurate data for you to be able to meet your KPIs and so forth. So yes, that's the revenue part of it, where we want to earn more revenue and more conversion rate. There's also the operational efficiency, where we want to increase, where we want to improve the cost efficiency and using that data to help us.
And you got them to converge in the cloud. You got two things for one: more operational efficiency from the cloud and more customer convergence efficiency from the cloud.
Yes.
And data was with apologies to Professor Haskell, the intangible asset that allowed you to take advantage of these things.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. We are going to take a quick break and transition into the panel. Aireen, I assure you that your colleagues on the panel will also push you to elaborate on this story, and presumably there's going to be some mutual productivity and conversation there. But I would just ask people in the audience to hold on for a couple of moments, and we're going to come back with a full panel. Thanks so much.
Here at Imperial College London, we have enterprise in our DNA. We were founded in 1907 with a mission to offer the most advanced education and research, to collaborate with other organisations, and to apply our work to industry. Today, we're one of the world's top 10 universities, with a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. A home for businesses, researchers, and the next generation of innovators. We work with an international network of valued business partners to carry out multidisciplinary research. Together, we're addressing complex global challenges like climate change and infectious diseases, and exploring transformational technologies such as AI and big data. Your business is invited to access the talent of our students, the expertise of our academics, our high-tech resources, and spaces on our new research and innovation campus, so you and your colleagues can find new opportunities to innovate and grow. There are a number of ways that you can begin your journey with us. Bespoke support and partnerships for small and large businesses with guidance from our dedicated enterprise team. So get in touch to start the conversation. We can help you achieve great things in our rapidly changing world.